General Pinochet ruled from 1973 to 1990 and began his neoliberal policy-making in the early 80s. Although he was out of office by 1990, his neoliberal legacy carried on. Let's look at the success of Chile's GDP growth per capita. At the start of the 80s, neoliberal policy was embraced. To begin with, GDP declined, making Chile worse than the average Latin American country. However, from 1983 onwards, GDP per capita started to climb, and at a vastly significant pace. At 1990, Chile was equal to the rest of Latin America in GDP per capita, and onwards it has been only good news ever since. Leftists would deceptively say that Chile was only better after Pinochet left office, but they forget that GDP per capita was growing at a high pace before then, the dy over dx for those mathematicians. It is not about the GDP per capita in a specific time period, but rather the trend, and the trend was sky high. Inflation was not a good metric, on the other hand. In the 80s, inflation hovered around 20%, as high as 30% and as low as 15%. It was only after 1990 that inflation began to decline, soon entering the 2% territory, similar to Western countries. Is this a neoliberal failure? Well, look at Milton Friedman's books, like Free to Choose and Capitalism and Freedom. I read these books and I remember the stark warning about fixing of currency value. In particular, Milton Friedman blames the gold standard, that is, the making of the dollar's value directly proportional to gold, for the Great Depression, as a monetary supply was severely contracted. Ultimately, the Chicago School, if anything, should have read Milton Friedman's books a little bit more. Also, let's look at the GDP per capita now in Latin American countries. Chile's GDP is one of the most superior countries in South America, with a whopping $16,100. Uruguay is the best, with $17,400. Brazil has $9,100, and our favourite socialist country, Venezuela, has a GDP per capita of $3,300. Bolivia, another massively socialist country, has a GDP per capita of $3,700. Ultimately, neoliberalism has been a stunning experiment. Okay, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.